Have you ever wondered if you're wasting your time using language apps, chasing meaningless streaks but not feeling any closer to actual fluency? After learning Spanish, I found a simpler way that doesn't rely on endless willpower. So in this video, I'm going to share some simple approaches that will help you understand how to adjust your learning to ensure that you can stay consistent and take your learning to the next level when you're ready. Let's start with the real reason so much common advice just won't work for you. When I was stuck learning Chinese, I kept asking myself, why am I so bad at this? I'd start strong and then quickly lose momentum, convinced that I just didn't have enough willpower or the mythical language gene. Meanwhile, every polyglot online seemed to have some intense color-coded routine or a complex flashcard system that left me exhausted just thinking about it. But I was making a fundamental mistake. I was trying to optimize my routine way too soon, before it was even established. If you decide that you want to run a marathon but have never been for a run before in your life, you probably want to build up to it to avoid pulling something and having to walk sideways down the stairs for the next 6 months. You see, I don't think everybody should try and perfect their language learning too soon, particularly if you're less experienced. In fact, chasing perfection holds so many potential language learners back from really getting started. If that's you, give yourself permission to keep it simple for now. Following the exact routine of some hyper polyglot might be a bit much on day one. So just passively watching easy content in your target language on YouTube really is a great way to get started. Now, sure, you will hear people online say, oh, it's too slow. But honestly, any progress is faster than burning out and quitting on day 2. And it's better than wasting your time on apps that don't actually get you fluent. Language learning is a hobby. It's not a race. So make it enjoyable, especially in the beginning, to keep going long term. I'll share some ideas for what to do when you're ready to take it to the next level in a minute. But first of all, just don't be a hero. That means find what feels rewarding to you, be it tracking your hours on a spreadsheet or just getting through some flashcards. Whatever gives you that little dopamine hit of satisfaction to help you show up consistently. We can get in our own head sometimes, or maybe even be over optimistic about how much we can achieve at first. But don't let some idea of the perfect routine get in the way of good enough for now. Long term, you'll really thank yourself that you found a way to make language learning feel less pressured. Personally, I think the best thing that most people can do to help themselves with learning a language is just surround themselves with it at a level that they can more or less understand. Now, that will be very basic, first of all. I have no problem if you want to look up words or use extra tools to help you understand things. That's great. So whilst you want to get a lot of exposure long term, the idea of immersion is no good if you can't understand a single word you hear. So build up the difficulty of what you're exposed to over time. But what happens once you've made it enjoyable and consistent? What comes next? Just a quick heads up before we get into that. If you weren't aware, the Story Learning Summer Sale ends soon. They've got courses in 15 languages and they're all half price, but not for much longer. I actually started Spanish with their Spanish Uncovered course, and learning through a story made it way more enjoyable and effective for me. So if that sounds like your sort of thing, use the code on screen or the link in the description before the sale ends. Okay, so here's the thing. Once you're getting daily exposure to the language, do you just wait? Is that it? The good news is you've now converted yourself into being a language learner. Congratulations. This is where it gets interesting because it's time to take the next step. And the key to all of this is that your perception is subjective. What I mean by that is as you learn more and build your confidence, things that once felt impossible start to feel much easier and you'll feel ready to take on more. For me, I started by adding in a lot of reading because I enjoy it and it naturally boosts my language skills. But now, every morning starts with a cup of tea and journaling in Spanish. And then after that, I challenge myself by translating part of an English book into Spanish. Now, neither of these two look like the passive idea of just watching videos. And if you'd asked me 2 years ago, does that sound like my idea of a good time? I would have said absolutely no chance, mate. But now, genuinely, I find journaling a relaxing way to start my day. And having got so much exposure to Spanish, doesn't feel hard. I even get an AI to give me feedback to identify my mistakes. And the translating, these days, I honestly find it interesting to see how the language fits together. When you're just absorbing the language, you might not notice all the nuts and bolts that hold it together because they aren't that important for just following along. But when I translate, I have to nail all of those bits to work out how to construct complex sentences. And then, after finishing both of those, I take the dog out and listen to some more Spanish before I start work. I'm not suggesting that you need to copy that routine. But if you're in the stage where you've got going and you've built consistency, maybe now's the time to start adding some more active activities in your routine. So like journaling or recording voice notes to review things later, or just talking to yourself daily. Start with something small and manageable and then add more when you feel you're ready. No one is going to be impressed that you create some complex routine that you can only stick with for a week. So build it up over time. And remember, what once felt difficult will start to feel natural as you get used to it. So if you're not ready for it yet, just bear it in mind for the future. But there's one factor that we haven't talked about yet. One thing that underpins your chances of success in language learning. So let's look at that next. So when I felt like I wasn't making enough progress previously, I'd either blame myself, thinking that I wasn't good at languages, or blame the app, saying it didn't work. But ultimately, no one else is responsible for my own learning. By taking ownership of your routine and your language learning activities, you're in the driving seat. So if you're not staying consistent, what changes do you need to make so that it's easier? Maybe change the activity you do, or find an accountability buddy through Reddit or somewhere else. If you hate what you're doing, be proactive and find something you'd rather do instead. Life really is too short, so test activities and see what you can stick with. Ultimately, the power to adjust what you're doing lies with you, rather than a particular app or resource. So if you're still building the habit, keep it simple, like I mentioned. Maybe just watch videos made for learners and track your daily exposure to keep you motivated, or even follow a guided course like Pimsleur if you want some structure. If you're at the point where you want to expand your comfort zone a bit more, then add an activity to your routine that appeals to you. So you could try journaling, even if it's just a few sentences a day first of all. Maybe even do some intensive reading on something that interests you, or even join a language exchange or conversation group online. And if you want to improve your speaking, ask yourself honestly, how much speaking are you actually doing throughout the week? You could set up a tiny daily speaking goal. Talking to yourself is an amazing low pressure way to build your skills. But whatever you do, stay active and engaged with your routine. Remember, if something isn't working for you, it's not a failure, it's just feedback. You're learning about building habits and language learning, and testing things is the only way that you're going to get that experience. That means that you can tweak your approach as you learn more. Maybe change the time of day, or try a new resource, or set a small challenge for yourself. So here is my challenge to you. Pick one new activity. It could be journaling, speaking to yourself, or reading your first book in a new language. Whatever it is, write it down in the comments below and then commit to it for the next 90 days and see how you get on with it. If you're still building your habits, you can check out my course in the link in the description. And the Story Learning Summer Sale genuinely ends soon. It might be over by the time you see this, so check the link in the description to get their courses half price whilst you can. Now, one part of my routine that was central to me learning Spanish was reading. So check out this video here to find out how to get the most out of reading and grow your language skills.